Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into an updated look at the college football top 25 rankings here for week number 11. This is really the last day or the last few days the AP will really matter when it comes to rankings. The teams are ranked here, but on Tuesday they will be re-ranked or ranked for the first time by the College Football Playoff Committee. And when you see teams on the screen with a ranking next to them, that's going to be done by the College Football Playoff Committee. So these rankings really, it's not that they're meaningless because this is like the historical data within the AP. It matters in terms of that. And it's also we can see kind of a prelude on where some of these teams are potentially going to be ranked. But yeah, it's going to be the College Football Playoff on Tuesday night. So you do have in this Ohio State sitting at number 1. They have 51st first place votes. Indiana with 11. Ohio State, they covered the spread again. I believe they're 7-0-1 against the spread. They had one push, but they've been undefeated against the spread. It's pretty crazy. Now they got Purdue minus 28. I think they're going to cover. You got Julian Sayin. People have been talking about Julian Sayin for the Heisman. It's very simple, and it's the exact same thing as the scenario with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had 2 years where if he would have beaten Michigan, he would have won the Heisman. Julian Sayin, if you beat Michigan, you're probably going to win the Heisman. If you lose to Michigan, if Ohio State loses again to Michigan, obviously he's not going to win the Heisman. But I think that's kind of where it is with Julian Sayin. If you beat Michigan on the road, you're going to win the Heisman. If you lose, you're obviously done. But Ohio State at 8-0, yeah, I think Ohio State should be ranked in front of Indiana. Like if you look at game control, you look at some of the metrics, you look at the efficiencies, Indiana's gotten better. They've also gotten really good turnover luck. But I think Ohio State overall is a better team than Indiana. They're certainly a more talented team. I think Ohio State will be ranked number 1 on Tuesday night. And by the way, Ohio State's overall strength of schedule is better than Indiana's because of Indiana's horrible non-conference. So Ohio State sitting at number 1, Indiana at number 2. They dispatched of Maryland. You have Texas A&M at number 3. They had a bye. They got one first place vote. I think this is going to be the top 3 teams on Tuesday night. You've got Bama. They're going to be the best one-loss team. Although I think some of those wins, remember Alabama's big gauntlet that they had? Some of those teams like Vanderbilt and Missouri, those are not very good teams, honestly. They're really not. And I think people are starting to realize it. And we're going to see Vanderbilt. I mean, I'm sure they're still going to be ranked, but see, I don't like this ad. Is annoying. I'm going to see if I can refresh it. This is so stupid. I don't want to see an ad that moves. We've got Georgia at number 5. So Georgia barely beat Florida. And we'll see can we not do this? And we'll see what happens with Georgia. But yeah, that wasn't a great performance against Florida. And I'm not a big believer in Florida at all. People say, well, Florida's a good team. They have talent. They do. You should beat Florida by more than 4 points. I'm sorry. I know the spread was only 7.5. But you're looking at Georgia, even in a game like going back to the Auburn game about a month ago, they could have been down 17-0 against Auburn. Georgia's just not that great this year. I mean, they're a solid team. They've got good talent. The overall team, though, is just the way it's configured. I don't see Georgia doing a lot in the playoff. Maybe they get hot, but you've got Oregon at number 6. Oregon just doesn't have a good win, or they haven't had a good schedule in terms of like facing good opponents, quality opponents. That's gonna change. They've got Iowa, they've got USC, they've got Washington. So Oregon had a bye week, but they've got the loss against Indiana. That's a good quality loss, I guess, but it's at home. You've got Ole Miss at number 7. They beat South Carolina. They've got the win on the road at Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma beats Tennessee, so that win becomes even better. It appreciates in value. The win appreciates. So Ole Miss, I think they've got a very favorable schedule. They've got the Citadel, and then they've got 2 manageable games, the Egg Bowl, and what have you. So now you've got a bunch of teams moving up. You've got BYU up to number 8. They're undefeated. They had a bye week. You've got Texas Tech at 8-1. I think when you're talking about the Big 12, I think Tech is the best team in the Big 12. Defense travels. Their defense is really good. They swarmed Kansas State on the road. Texas Tech, even with the one loss to Arizona State, it was kind of an aberration game. I predicted it, but still, it was an aberration. And so I think Texas Tech is the best team, and they're going to make the playoff. I don't know about BYU. BYU has the road game at Texas Tech. I guess if BYU loses to Texas Tech and then loses to them again in the Big 12 championship, they wouldn't make the playoff. Or I don't know, maybe they would. Maybe they'd make the playoff as like an 11 seed. That's a possibility. But BYU's metrics are just not going to be up to standard, unfortunately for them. They've had some close games. They're not dominant enough. They don't have the best wins. there's a number of things that go into it. Texas Tech has been very dominant. So Texas Tech is a team, if they go 12-1, they're going to be ranked inside the top 5. They might get that 5v12 matchup. You've got Notre Dame at number 10, sitting at 6-2. Notre Dame up 2 spots. Really a bad performance against Boston College. It should have been a lot more dominant of a first half for Notre Dame in terms of the yardage discrepancy. Second half wasn't nearly as good, facing a bad Boston College team, but a Boston College team that did keep it respectable against Louisville the week before. But Notre Dame, by the way, that loss to Miami is looking worse now, but it's still a good loss. They are going to finish 10-2, we would imagine. The quality wins for Notre Dame are not there. That's why when you look at a team like Notre Dame, even if they finish 10-2, they're probably still going to be ranked like 10th. They're not really going to move up. There's not a ton of wiggle room for Notre Dame to host a playoff game. Maybe they will. If they finish 10-2, it'll depend on what happens with all these other teams. But because they don't have a great resume builder, I mean, we'll see what happens with USC. They beat USC. If USC beats Oregon, then that's going to be a good win for Notre Dame. But right now, they're up 2 spots. Oklahoma up to number 11, up 7 spots. Brutal game. Brutal game for Tennessee. I saw that game mid-second quarter was tied at 10. I think Tennessee was outgaining Oklahoma by 250 yards. Can't have it. Cannot have it if you're Tennessee. I think Tennessee's better than Oklahoma, but turnovers, flukiness, you give Oklahoma credit. They went on the road. They got a good win. Still not a believer in Oklahoma's offense, especially throwing, passing. But they're up to number 11. They've got the road game with Bama. You lose that, you're going to be done. They did beat Michigan. They've got the non-conference win. We'll see what Michigan does the rest of the season. That's a nice resume boost. Big resume boost to win on the road at Tennessee. But again, you look at that game, Tennessee probably should have been up like 21-3 in that game in terms of total yardage discrepancy. So there's definitely some luck involved with Oklahoma in that win over Tennessee. Virginia up 3 spots. I don't think Virginia's a very good team. And we'll see. I mean, listen, if they run the table, you got to put them in the playoff, obviously. Though they can win the ACC. The ACC is a mess of a conference. It is. It's a complete mess. You've got Texas at number 13. They're up 7 spots. Yeah, Texas, they dominated Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt scored a bunch of touchdowns late to try and make it look close so the SEC can say, oh, Vanderbilt's still good. Yeah, I don't think Vanderbilt's very good at all, honestly. I think Texas destroyed them, and then they got a bunch of garbage time touchdowns to make it look like it was a respectable game when it really wasn't. That's basically what happened. But at Texas, listen, they're coming into their own. Arch Manning, it was a bunch of screen passes, let's be real. A lot of screen passes, the one to Ryan Wingo. I mean, there's a lot of yak, if you will, yards after catch. But you give Arch Manning credit. It was a good game. It was kind of a breakout game for him. I still think Texas, they got Texas Tech, they have Texas A&M the last game of the season. They've still got Georgia. They might be able to beat Georgia, but it's on the road. That'll be an interesting game. But if obviously Georgia wins that game, Texas will be done. You've got Louisville up to number 14. Honestly, who knows with those teams? Who knows? You've got Vanderbilt at number 15 at 7-2. Vanderbilt's not a top 20 team. I'm sorry. They're just not. Are we really still doing this with Vanderbilt where they're this good team? They're not. And it's like, this is a quality win for Alabama. Really? I think Vanderbilt would lose to Rutgers on a neutral field. No, I'm trolling. I think Vanderbilt would lose to Washington would beat Vanderbilt relatively easily on a neutral field. I think we should see that bowl game. Vanderbilt, Washington, neutral field. I think Washington probably wins by 10 points. Yeah. Vanderbilt. How about Missouri versus Washington, neutral field? I think Washington wins by 14 points. Georgia Tech at number 16, down 8 spots. They lost. They're going to move down. They lost. These ACC teams are so annoying that I don't know what to say about them. You've got Utah up 7 spots. Utah's a good team, and they thoroughly dominated Cincinnati. Miami down 8 spots. Who knows? They lost to SMU. And Miami still has a chance to make the playoff, I think, maybe. If they finish 10-2, a 10-2 team that doesn't make their conference championship, I don't think they're going to make it. Missouri at 6-2. USC did not look good. They got lucky with Raiola getting injured. USC's offense was anemic, especially passing the ball against Wyoming or against Nebraska. Michigan at 21. Michigan did not look good. Yeah, Michigan really struggled against Purdue. I think Michigan, they're dealing with injuries. It's understandable to a degree, but you win by 5 against Purdue. Listen, for Michigan, they don't really care. They're trying to get to the Ohio State game. That is their Super Bowl. They're obsessed with it. They want to beat Ohio State. They don't really care about any of these other games. And obviously for Michigan, it's important because you beat Ohio State, you make the playoff at that point because you'd be 10-2. You've got Memphis at 8-1 at number 22. Yeah, Memphis got to win, I think. Yeah, Memphis won on Friday night. You've got Tennessee at number 23, down 9 spots. Tennessee's got to be not ranked. I'm sorry. 3 losses. They really don't have a great win. They got to be unranked. But to be fair to Tennessee, they're probably better than Oklahoma. But, I mean, you lose the game at home. What do you want us to do at this point? Washington enters at number 24. Cincinnati falls to 25 after getting throttled by Utah. But they're still ranked because they're 7-2. You've got Iowa. For Iowa, it's a tough situation because the thing is Iowa has to face Oregon. Now they face Oregon at home. I just don't think Iowa has the offense to beat Oregon, honestly. I mean, it could be one of those crazy mucky games with turnovers, and you could say, well, Oregon really hasn't beaten anyone, so maybe Iowa wins that game and it's going to be a low spread, but I don't know. James Madison, I thought Pittsburgh would be ranked. I'm surprised they weren't. Well, I guess some of these other teams, San Diego State, North Texas, South Florida, SMU, Houston after losing, Illinois, LSU, Arizona State. So that's the top 25. I would say Ohio State's a lock, Indiana's a lock, Texas A&M's a lock, Bama's pretty much a lock. I don't think Georgia's a lock yet. They just have looked too uneven. I don't think Oregon is a lock because at 7-1 with the matchups they have, I think Ole Miss is a lock to make it based on their schedule. These teams are just tough. I think one of BYU and Texas Tech are going to make it, possibly both of them, depending on how it works. But the problem is, I guess what could happen is BYU could beat Texas Tech, but then that would give Texas Tech 2 conference losses. Would they even make the Big 12 championship at that point? See, that's why all of these scenarios are all so conjumbled because of tiebreakers and head-to-heads and all this stuff. But because if Texas Tech beats BYU, then they'd both have 1 loss, and then they have a rematch, and then Texas Tech wins again. Does BYU make the playoff at 11-2? I mean, that's the question. Notre Dame, I think they're pretty much in. Unless they say, well, Notre Dame just doesn't have a good enough schedule. The problem is, for people that don't like Notre Dame, they've got amazing analytics. I would agree with people if Notre Dame's analytics were like Virginia or, they were like Louisville's. But Notre Dame has like top 5, top 6 overall analytical numbers in terms of offensive efficiency, in terms of points per possession, in terms of defensive efficiency, all of that. They're like a top 10 team and everything. So those type of numbers, and the FPI, which has Notre Dame probably number 5th or number 6th, that's going to carry them to where if they go 10-2, they're going to have all the metrics to be in the playoff, even if they don't have a great win. Oklahoma, I don't think Oklahoma's going to make it. They've got the game at Bama. And then you've got Texas. I think Texas is not going to make it. They've got 2 tough games still, and I'm just not a big believer, even though they got that win. Louisville, who knows? It's just a mess with these teams. Virginia, Georgia Tech. I guess if Utah runs the table, they make the Big 12 championship, they win, they're going to finish 11-2, they'll be in. But yeah, it's kind of a mess at this point, I would say, just the way it looks. Because you've got BYU, you've got Texas Tech, you've got Virginia. I mean, I don't see Virginia making it. I would knock them off, even at 8-1. Because I think they'll probably lose a regular season game, or even they lose the ACC championship. They're not going to make it. Their analytics are not good enough. Even at 11-2, I don't think they'd make it. If they won everything, they would make it for sure. And then there's Michigan. If Michigan and USC both went out, they would make it. It's not going to happen. USC would have to beat Oregon on the road. They would have to beat, I don't know, I think USC faces Washington. Michigan faces Ohio State. I mean, they've beaten Ohio State, I get it, but I don't know. Michigan has not looked good. I think Michigan will be better. They're going to get more healthy, but Michigan has a problem throwing the ball. Bryce Underwood is just too inaccurate right now. He's got talent, but he's just inaccurate. And they're dealing with the running back injury to Haynes. So we'll see with Michigan, but they'd have to win out, and it's still a tough ask to beat Ohio State. They're going to be 10-point underdogs. You can't really predict them to win that game against Ohio State. So either way, guys, that's just the update. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Thank you for watching.